today we're going to focus on soil fertility. So what we have here is a soil probe, and we use this to pull soil samples in the field to have the soil tested. You can see this is the end that actually goes into the ground, and this is a foot peg that I use on, if we have a hard surface that we're trying to penetrate. But essentially we'll go down for a hay field or pasture, we'll go down about 4 inches to pull the sample. And if we're in a crop field like corn or something, we'll go anywhere from about 6 to 8 inches to pull the sample. And again, that gives us a representative idea, a representative sample of the nutrients that are going to be available in the soil. So what I'm kind of demonstrate, what we do with it here. So what we do is we just randomly go through the field and push our probe in the ground just like that, and then pull it up, and you can see that we pulled a soil core, okay? And we'll do this several times throughout the field, and then we'll mix it all together to kind of get an average. So once we collect our sample and package it up, we send it to the North Carolina Department of Agriculture, to their soil testing lab. And that's where they do certain extractions, chemical extractions in the soil, and it gives us essentially it gives us an idea of what nutrients are already available and which ones are actually lacking. So the other side of things the other service we provide is we make sure people can correctly read those and interpret the results on that report, because what we gain from this report is what fertilizer or manures we're going to apply to the field to get our soil fertility correct. So most of our soils here are going to be deficient in a handful of nutrients. We have very sandy soils in our region, and in order to grow just about any crop, we have to add amendments or fertilizers or even lime, which is to help balance the pH in the soil. We usually have a lime recommendation, that's calcium carbonate. Again, that raises the pH of the soil to be more ideal for our plant growth. So usually it's about 1 ton per acre that needs to be applied. And then for our hay fields or pastures that I deal with, we're usually going to need about 180 pounds of nitrogen and around 100 to 150 pounds of potassium. So as agronomists and farmers, there are several things that we do to manage the fertility in the soil and manage the soil's health. The first thing is to feed it, and feed it correctly. And we do that, again, by taking soil samples. The next thing we do is we want to make sure there's always ground cover. There's always something that's tacking that soil down, because you've probably seen it before. When we get a really hard rain, a lot of times we get a lot of erosion of soil that goes into the water system and then creates a whole mess of problems downstream. So the next thing we promote is making sure the soil is tacked down. Just like this field I'm standing in, this field has a lot of ground cover. This is all Bermuda grass, and again, this is a hay field, so it's used to feed livestock. But erosion in this field is extremely low compared to other practices. So we try to minimize tillage, working or plowing the ground whenever possible, and keep a cover or armor on the soil. I'll show the root. Even though this is dead on top, it's not dead in the ground. And even though this field looks dead and is brown, it's just dormant for this time of the year. Yes, the growth on top is pretty much dead and dormant, but in our soil, you can see all these roots. So it actually sits like this. This is pulled out of the ground. This is a plug that I pulled out of the ground. And you see how well that all this soil is sticking together, and that's representing the health of this soil. All the organic matter and nutrients in the soil, and the funguses and the bacterias are all working together to help keep these living roots alive and healthy, so that for next spring they'll green back up, and we can start managing it again to for another season to feed our animals.